Live from the Irish Hills of Brooklyn, Michigan, it is the penultimate race in a regular season for the Season 5 campaign of the CORA Championship Online Racing Association Sunday Money Series. Live from MIS for round 18 of 24 and 2 races away from the chase cutoff, we bring you Sunday Money action with the Cup cars at the Michigan International Speedway. I want to welcome you into the LSRTV broadcast booth, as always, on this Sunday evening. Myself, Evan Pasoko, joined alongside by Carl Jones and Laura Lawson in the production hauler, pushing the buttons and getting the stream going for everybody this evening. And Carl, we look forward to this final vehicle stint, we'll call it, on this regular season. I've been coming off of the races like the B cars, but now we got Cup cars at the very fast 2-mile D-shaped oval in Michigan. We head to Atlanta for an open setup race in 1 week's time, and that's pretty much it. Then we determine the 12 drivers that are going to be eligible to fight for the Season 5 championship in the CORA Sunday Money Series.
Yeah, usually this time of the year we are talking about the points leader, how big of a points lead he had, but right now we're actually looking back here at the 12th, 13th, 14th position. Right now, looking at the points, we're looking at Brandon Cruz Monsivais sitting here in 12th position right now. He is on the bubble. Dylan Eckhart is sitting right behind him, not far back, ready to strike, trying to get into the points chase for the end of the season. Also, Salicardi and James Brown, they're all sitting right there, ready to strike at any time. If all Brandon has to do is just mess up one time, and things can be completely different for the final qualifying position to get into the points race for the end of the season.
And that 12th and 13th position, which 12th you're in, 13th you're out, is just 11 points that separate Brandon Cruz Monsivais and the Dylan Eckhart machine. So those are two names that you really need to take a look at tonight. And right now, Eckhart is faster than Monsivais by about 5 positions as our 10-minute closed qualifier session continues to roll on through. Do want to make note before we get going that Terry Hurley is back up in the tower after a 4-week absence due to some medical situations. So glad to see Terry back at the racetrack. Wish him and his family all the best as he'll be up in the tower calling this evening's race. And let's talk about this evening's race. It's going to be 100 laps around this 2-mile D-shaped oval, as we talked about. 200 miles is a pretty good distance, Carl, for one of these Sunday Money races. Michigan is very wide. It is also probably one of the fastest tracks if you're talking NASCAR Sprint Cup Series competition. This and Fontana don't have restrictor plates, so you're going to get up there into the 205s plus, and that means that if you have any sort of mistake with those added speeds, it'll cost you a lot more. And I expect the draft also to be quite a factor in this race.
Yeah, I've been watching these guys here in practice for the last couple of hours, and during their qualifying races they've had during the week also, and seems like the bottom line is a very treacherous line on the race tonight. They're very loose cars. They're wanting to push, or excuse me, they're wanting to come around, not push up. If they were pushing, that'd be a tight situation, but they're a loose car. They're wanting to kind of turn around. They're having a lot of problems with that lower line with this fixed setup. So it's going to be a real interesting thing to see when somebody tries to get down on that low line to do some passing, if they're going to be able to do it or if they're going to spin the cars around.
Just about 4 minutes left again in this closed qualifier session. Fastest in practice, which was prior to this. 2 hours of open practice and as well the qualifier races that you use to get into this series. But fastest so far tonight is Michael Churchma in the number 88 machine. Not a really surprise to see that, I must say. Let's talk some track facts about this MIS Speedway. It was opened back in 1968, and its architecture is Charles Moneypenny. That man designed quite a lot of these oval tracks that you see out there. It plays host to NASCAR Sprint Cup Series competition, as well as NASCAR Xfinity, Camping World Trucks, and the ARCA Racing Series. But 2 miles in length, 18 degrees of banking, which is not as much as you'll see at some of the 1.5 tracks like Charlotte and other racetracks, but it's not flat, but it's not, really steeply banked, and you're running those extremely fast speeds. You talked about that bottom line being very treacherous, getting loose coming off the corner, even getting tight off the corner. This is one of our fixed setup races. Typically, we do alternate back and forth. 1 week ago at Las Vegas, it was an open setup race. Tonight, it is fixed. That means everybody has the exact same car underneath them. At 1 week's time, we're going to see a open setup race, which means you'll see some of the teams maybe have an advantage over some other people, but the fixed setup races are really going to put this, I guess, the results of this race in the hands of the driver.
Well, Evan, like we said, we're going into the championship runoffs here at the end of the season. Right now, what are these guys looking at? What would you have to say would be in the heads of drivers such as like Nathan Sedlak and people like that are up there in the points lead right now, knowing that everything's going to be reset here in just a couple more weeks once we start with the chase. What do you think's going through these guys? Are they going to be pushing it? Do you think they're going to be racing hard for this, or do you think they're going to lay back and just maybe let the race come to them and let it play out the way they wherever the cards fall? Because like right now, Nathan Sedlak really doesn't have much to gain except for maybe buffing his lead a little bit, but really, what's that going to do? Because everything's going to be reset here. What do you think drivers like that are going to be thinking in this kind of a race?
They're going to be doing the opposite of what we see people that aren't going to be in the chase be doing in about 3 weeks' time once we get chase racing. Because we talk about in a championship how important those races are, Carl. And the guys that aren't fighting for the championship, they're going to be up there and playing quote-unquote spoiler. Well, we have people that are pretty much, 10th through 15th, maybe not mathematically, well, it's going to take a long shot for some of them, but are still in this. It's really close in 12th and 13th. Those guys, especially Monsivice and Ackert, are right on each other with these final 2 races to go. They're going to be trying to get the best finish that they can, but they have a lot of guys that really have nothing to lose at this point. Sedlak is not going to lose 432 points in 2 races. He wants to get a checkered flag. He wants to join the likes of George Bark, Damon Gilbert, Michael Churchma, who have 2 trips to victory lane apiece. Sedlak, Borges, and Doucette, the top 3 in the championship standings, only have 1. Nathan Sedlak does have the most top 5s. So I think it's kind of, if anything, just kind of boosting your stats there and try to get yourself. Momentum is a hell of a thing in racing. Trying to end the season on a positive note as opposed to on the hook maybe, and then try to carry that momentum through to that. Well, only 5 races to determine the championship, so you got to get whatever momentum you can.
Oh, absolutely. Momentum, like you said, that is a huge thing. And looking through the lineup here, Brandon Cruz, Monsivice starting back here in the 18th position, starting behind Dylan Ackert. What do you think was going to be going through Brandon's mind? I mean, he's got to be out there. He's chomping at the bit here, knowing that all it's going to take is one mistake, and it could be just this race could kill it. That could just end everything for him for his points chase. This is his first full season with CORA, and I know he's really looking forward to getting up here and running good for his small town computer sponsor. And you just got to. I wouldn't want to be in that position. I know that it'd be hard for me to be sitting there, knowing that all I have to do is just make one mistake, and Dylan Ackert is all over me for the points.
Well, if you're going to be in that kind of pressure situation, try to get into the chase, be ready to do it for the next 2 months, because that is all those final 5 races will be, is limiting mistakes. The field is on the grid, and let's let you know where they're going to stack up for the starting field for this afternoon's MIS 200. Pole position to the car that was second fastest in practice with a 37.326. Nathan Sedlak to the top of the board, and the car that was fastest in practice will start second outside row 1 P2. That's Michael Churchma.
Starting position 3 is going to be Nicholas Doucette. His outside is going to be George Barks in the number 16 car.
Winner from 1 week ago, Dustin Lee, the 50, going to roll from P5. That's the inside on row 3. And Damon Gilbert going to roll the 68 off in P6.
Position 7 is going to be Ryan Borges. He is going to be tooling around out here in the 32 car. Dominic Dyball in the Dyware car is going to be position 8.
Dalicardi, the number 39 entry, after being 22nd fastest in practice, bumps up to a top 10. He'll roll from 9th and rounding out the top 10, the 01 of John Pansula.
The CEO, James Brown, in the 00, he'll be in 11th position. To his outside is going to be Colton Berkey.
Dan S. Bailey, the 08 Skittles machine, will roll from 13th position, and 14th is Dylan Ackert, one of those cars we were talking about that wants to get some points if he wants a shot at this championship.
Charlie Starks in the 15th position. Joel Woods in the 79 car, sitting in the 16th position.
17th is the number 13 Chevrolet entry of David Williams, and 18th position, a car that sits on the inside, but not by a lot. P12 at a championship, 18th on track. It's Brandon Cruz, Monsivice.
Patrick Skyhill in the number 60 is going to be rolling off in 19th position, and in the 20th position is going to be J.R. Johnson.
Weston Campbell, our in-race reporter that we'll try to talk to him throughout the evening. The Rockstar Energy Chevrolet SS will roll back on the last row in this field. 11 rows deep we are. 21st position is to the 05, and then Gordon Berkey in 22nd will round out our field for this evening's MIS 200. That's 100 laps around this 2-mile D-shaped oval. Lap times just above 30 seconds per lap. It's going to be a fairly lengthy one over we are in the Cup cars. Out of anything that we run, excluding the Indy cars, these are the fastest, but expect this to be a race of slipping and sliding, try to minimize mistakes, although the weather is an overcast sky and the temps are down to just about 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't let that fuel you that you could really get any more grip, because this Michigan track will take that little bit of extra confidence, turn it around, and send you in the fence real quick.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because my buddy Vance is living up there in Michigan right now, and according to him, the temperature is absolutely nowhere near that.
They
so
like 65.
Yeah, it seems to be like that. That's what they put on most of their tracks. It's kind of funny, though, because he's telling me that the temperature's a lot cooler up there. Matter of fact, he's watching the broadcast right now. He can probably tell us exactly what the temperature is up there, but it's definitely not 65 degrees right now. So that's the wonderful thing about iRacing. I mean, Michigan right now could be covered with snow, and they could still race on this racetrack here in the sim.
Well, we get set to get this one going, and it's going to be 2 Storm Motorsports Chevrolet entries. The whole top 10 going to be having that bow tie on the front and the back as we get set to go green flag racing. The pace car dives down. We're glad to have you with us on this Sunday evening on LSRTV. Nathan Sedlak will be in control of this field. The green flag flies, and we're racing for the Michigan International Speedway, 22 cars deep. Go double file down into the very wide corners 1 and 2 for the first time tonight. Nick Doucette, who started in 3rd position, took a small peek to the inside. You see Sedlak, though, on the inside, gaining an advantage over Churchman, the 51 of Doucette, gaining an advantage over the 16 of George Bart, and at least for that first quarter, the inside lane prevails.
Just watching Doucette coming off of turn number 2 there, just telling you how loose this bottom of the track is, and his car was quite a good bit sideways coming off the turn there, but he was able to keep it under control, get it down the back straightaway without any kind of an issue. I have a funny feeling these guys are just going to kind of get a little feel on this track right now and see how they can do, because they were having a lot of issues here earlier on in practice today, and also in the last qualifier, they had several cautions. I believe there was like 7 cautions in that last qualifier. So I see these guys trying to maybe single file out here, try to get maybe a little feel on the track, get the cars underneath them before they go out and do any kind of heavy pushing.
We saw a little bit of a peak for 3 wide on that first lap down into 3. They kind of backed out of it, but we really went 3 wide. They just kind of kept each other staggered and weren't really all over each other's door, which if you're going to do it that way, but it is lap 1. We now work off the lap 2, and it is still those Storm Motorsports entries at the top of the field. Churchma right up behind Sedlak for the top 2 spots. George Bart still sits in 4th position, and no position changes to get to P5. Where now in that position is Damon Gilbert. However, he will slide high. It looks like Salicardi going to make the challenge down to the inside. Those 2 cars will be door-to-door off the corner, a little bit sideways. It was at 39 of Salicardi. Couple that.
Got a car around here on the backstretch.
Car gets the run.
Got a car around here on the backstretch. Not sure who it was there. He got around coming off turn number 2 and took it right down to the inside wall. And just as soon as he hit the wall there, he blinked out. So I'm not sure who that
Gordon
was.
Berkey.
Oh, that was
yeah,
Gordon
that was
Berkey.
The 22 G&K Construction entry. He just got sideways, kind of like we just saw Salicardi do. He wasn't able to save it, lost that engine on impact. Tough break, because that's very early on, no caution.
Speaking of Salicardi here, last week, as the replay goes up here now of the Gordon Berkey incident, last night's qualifier there, Salicardi right towards the end of the race had a major incident there, lost it going into turn number 1, and just went up and hit the wall hard, came back down and took out a lot of cars in the qualifier. Luckily, he was safe and he was able to get into the race for tonight. But yeah, that just shows, just like I was telling you, how the track is today. It's very loose on the bottom, and that's exactly what happened. We just got down low. The car went out from under and went right up to the outside wall, came back down across in front of traffic, and took out a bunch of cars in the qualifier last night.
Looks like Damon Gilbert and Salicardi are still door-to-door. That 39 was the one that got a little bit squirrely coming off of quarter 2 about 2 laps ago, but they do remain door-to-door, and this is the first battle on the racetrack, as the top 4 are kind of cooperating for the moment. The top 2 are teammates, so don't expect them to do anything irrational on each other this early. And now it looks like Salicardi via the inside line, which we expect to be better than the outside, but you can't go too low down to that white line or things will get real ugly real fast, and that race car will go up to the wall and it'll be moving sideways and getting loose and whatnot. But the 68 making a crossover, the 39 cuts the nose off, taking none of that is Salicardi as he defends that position on Damon Gilbert. Ryan Borges now trying to join his teammates up front, the 32 car. After starting 7th, hasn't made any moves yet. He goes to the inside on the 68. He's bringing a 15, and Dominic Dieball right on through with him, this down in 3.
Speaking up here in the front, I'm looking here at Nathan Sedlak right now. Nothing has really changed up here in the front. We got Nathan Sedlak sitting up here in first, Michael Churchman in second, Nicholas Doucette still sitting here in third position. So this front three positions have not changed, but they look like they're trying to get a little bit of a breakaway away from the rest of the field here and see if they can maybe get up here and do some racing by themselves, not have to worry about the rest of the field. But looks like George Barks is going to try to join back up in here as he catches on the draft there of Nicholas Doucette, and he's going to pull back up on the back end of Nicholas now.
Gilbert still trying to defend, and he's able to do so. So after being passed by a car down low, Ryan Borges tries to make the move down low, but it doesn't work. And a 68 car is able to hang on to that. Now we got to swap up in the top position. It happens down in 3 and 4. Churchman to the bottom, very calm, cool, and collected, slides up in front of the 35. However, he goes down to the bottom. 35 stays up high, and it allows Sedlak to kind of remain at the passenger side door on 88 and Churchman. This is going to bring the 51 and Nick Doucette on through him because now they're no longer single file uniform. Here comes that 16 Chevrolet of George Bark, winner from 1 week ago at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. He's trying to get up into the mix, can't do anything, stays in 4th position for now, but now Sedlak finds himself back in P3, and it is the 51 and Nick Doucette who is playing spoiler in the Soar Motorsports party up front as he slides into P2.
Yeah, I don't think that Nathan Sedlak's too awful worried about going back in the pack right now. Like we said earlier, he is sitting up there in the points lead. He's going to fall back a little bit, just maybe kind of hold on to not losing too many positions, just race around nice and calm. And I don't think we're going to have to worry about too awful much about Nathan. He's going to be back up here at the front, I'm sure, before long. As you said, George Barks, though, he is right there. He is looking to get up here and win another one of these races. That would make 3 races or would that be 4 for George Barks for the season?
Then bump him up to 3. He's tied with, I think, 3 or 4 other drivers that have 2 wins. There's a handful of guys up inside the championship that do have 1, but that would be his 3rd trip. He won the first one, kind of was on a little bit of a drought until he won 1 week ago at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Now that he's back and is still sitting in a position that comfortably puts him in the championship, why not go for another trip to victory lane? He's only 0.4 of a second off of the leader right now, as they're pretty much all uniform with 2 car lengths separating them all back to each other as they try to pull away. We do have 21 cars on the lead lap. Nobody's just lost a lap yet. Gordon Berkey is the only car that has lost a lap, and that was from an accident, who sits 5 laps down. He exited the sim, is back now on pit road, trying to get serviced under the DNK Trucking Chevrolet entry, but not looking good as he has not returned to the racetrack. But that makes J.R. Johnson, the final car in the lead lap, the 37 Chevrolet, is about 8 seconds off to the top spot right now. We had some battling going on, and one right now for the top 10 position, the 08 car of Dan Bailey. Looks like a Marshawn Lynch Skittles entry. Makes a move down low. He's able to kind of move around that 50 car, much like we saw Churchman do for the top spot, go down low. He's clear by the time they get off the corner, and they will swap for P10 and P11 over very quickly, closing in to Dominic Dieball, who was a little bit slow down the back straightaway, making it now a 3-car battle for what would be P9 on the racetrack.
Like I said, though, it does look like they're doing exactly what I said. They're just going to kind of single file it out here. This is a really long race. No sense of pushing it right now. There's nothing gained, everything to lose. So, yeah, I think you're going to see a lot more of this as this race goes on. These guys are just going to kind of single file it out here, pass where they can, when they can, not push anything. There's no sense, like I said, there's no sense of pushing it this early, putting yourself in jeopery, getting down low where you don't need to be, and taking a chance on losing that rear end of your car, bringing the car around and wrecking the car, using up one of your resets. Like I said, we only get 2 resets here in CORA. So, you go out there and you mess up your car early, it's just not a good thing to do, as in my opinion.
Still a couple of battles that go on through the racetrack. We have a huge pack of cars now that was at that 9th position that I was just talking about. Something happened with Dominic Dieball because he was able to kind of get up there, mess around with Damon Gilbert and Ryan Borges, slid back, allowed Colton Berkey to get around, and the 81 car moved up to 8th. He slid back to what was a 2-car battle with Dan Bailey and Dustin Lee, and now there's 5-6 cars in it. Dominic Dieball leads them, the 08 single file behind him. Then you got that 00 of James Brown trying to move up through the field, and then the Lafarge Chevrolet right behind them. Then the 50 Dustin Lee going backwards on this lap to the point where John Pansula gonna look to beat him to the start finish on. He will do so. So Dustin Lee will go from 11th back to 13th position on the racetrack, and this continues pretty much a 5-car battle. Thinking about 3 wide as the 01 Poconos to the inside. Didn't really do anything with that, and they single file up for these 3 spots, and just as they do that, Dan and Dominic going to go side by side for 9th and 10th position. All of this, again, going on just outside of the top 10, and the longer they fight, the more time they're going to lose on all of our leaders, but they're putting up a pretty good effort for P9.
Looking back here at the 14th position, that's Dylan Eckhart. He is right now the car who is looking to get himself into the chase for the season, and he's doing everything he needs to do right now, racing ahead of Brandon Cruz-Monsivais. He might want to try to move up a couple more positions, try to pad that, or extend their, I guess want to pad it, extend it, whatever you want to say, try to catch Brandon Cruz, because he was only 11 points back from Monsivais here coming into this race. So it's not going to take all that many positions to be ahead of Monsivais for him to pass him for that bubble for the 13th position of getting into the points championship.
And limiting mistakes as well. He cannot afford any trouble. He needs to make up 11 points over Brandon Cruz-Monsivais. Right now on track is ahead of Brandon by just 3 positions, as Monsivais right now sits in 17th position after starting 18th. Eckhart has not gone forward, no backwards, starting 14th, runs 14th right now, and that's pretty good when you consider that he was 13th in practice, so he's pretty much been right on the mark all race long. I do expect that Brandon Cruz-Monsivais may be going forward because he was 11th in practice, not an 18th, 17th place car where he sits right now, so wouldn't be surprised if we see that 54 car begin to make gains as this race progresses. Do have a change of position for B2. The 35 car is able to get back to that spot, so Nathan Sedlak, after starting in first, went back to 51, got in front of him, and now he returns there. So it's once again Storm Motorsports P1 and P2 on the racetrack. And hearing somebody got sideways and may have had some sort of an issue. The 00 is a little bit slow, and it is James Brown, who was in a battle with the 50 and the 01. He got split, and there was contact as the 01 of John Pansula got into him. This was corner 4 on lap 16. The 00 got that contact, got a little bit sideways, was able to hang on to it, does have damage. You'll see the replay going up now of what happened in that incident. The Lafarge entry kind of limping around the racetrack after James was going forward, but at least he's not in the fence, and if we get a caution here relatively soon, as he would hope, would be able to get repairs done to that Chevrolet, but not really on pace right now because he does have that left front damage.
Back up here in the front now, Nathan Sedlak has finally made that pass to take his lead back like I said he was going to. Michael Churchman slips back to second. Nicholas Doucette did take a look to the inside there, Churchman, and he was going to try to repay that and get Churchman back to the 3rd position, but that did not work out. Churchman was able to hold on to the 2nd position. George Bark still sitting here in 4th position. Damon Gilbert has looked like he's getting ready to lose some positions here right now as we're going back here to the 5th position, the 39. Salicardi is to his inside.
Everybody's still within 9 seconds of each other except for 19th through 21st. Those are the cars that appear to be just a little bit off speed. And the Michigan International Speedway with a fixed setup, either you like it or you hate it. You can't really get a custom set like these open setup races. You're going on board with the Colton Berkey entry right now as he sits in 8th position. But unlike the races where you have an open setup, you can get a setup that kind of acquires and fits very well with your driving style. You can see right now it's very working out well for the 35 of Sedlak, the 80 of Michael Church, but not quite for guys like Joel Wood, Wes Campbell, and J.R. Johnson, who are back and almost half a lap behind, just 19 circuits into this race now. Sedlak going to be taking the 5th mark this next time around the racetrack as he sits back again at the top spot. And Nick Doucette has kind of been rather quietly sitting in 3rd position. He made that move to 2nd after it was originally Churchman who made the initial move on Sedlak. 51 came on through, but he's kind of just been content with riding behind that car that sat 2nd. He trailed Sedlak, and now that Sedlak's up to the top spot, just kind of sitting behind Churchman. Maybe try to save his stuff for a long green flag run. However, can't wait around too long because here comes the 16 of George Bark. That entry is making a good run and now making it a 3-car battle for P2. And now to the inside goes Nick Doucette. Tries to drive it in, but again, you see they're not going much lower than that first seam on the racetrack because that's where that car gets real loose if you try to swing it back up to the outside retaining wall with the quote-unquote only 18 degrees of banking, which is quite a lot if you're running Indy cars here, but in these Cup cars, compared to places, again, like I talked about in the pre-race show with 24 degrees of banking, yeah, it's almost because you're sliding around at such high speeds.
Back here again with the number 16 car, Damon Gilbert here. He's finally been able to take the 5th position by himself. He's out here. He's pulled away from now what is the race for 6th, 7th, and 8th position, which has been a very hot battle here over the past couple of laps with Colton Berkey, Salicardi, and Ryan Borges. They have been battling hard here over the past 2 or 3 laps. Now looks like Colton Berkey is going to win that battle. He is going to be out ahead of Salicardi and Ryan, and everybody's going to go back down the single file now here and just try to see if they can play some catch-up, because they fell back quite a bit from the leaders here because of that battle. They're now sitting about almost 3 seconds behind. Well, actually, Salicardi is 3 seconds behind. Colton Berkey sitting there 2.6 seconds behind the leaders. So these guys are going to have to try to get back in line, do some racing, get some drafting going, and see if they can catch back up to these leaders. Because if this is going to go green like it's looking right now, it's looking like a green race, we're going to be in a lot of trouble if you get too far behind.
And 3 wide for the top spot, real tight. Got that 88 of Michael Churchma, and the 51 sticking a nose to the outside, which could have easily put that machine in the wall, but a gutsy move, rather still early on into this race. But the number 51 of Nick Doucette, he's able to bring that Chevrolet SS across the start-finish line this time by. And that True Speed Motorsports entry will go back to the point and lead his first laps of the race. It does slide the guys like Nathan Sedlak back as he still sits in front of Nick Doucette, but I mean that 51, he's clear of Bart. Churchman's actually sliding backwards. You think, Carl, maybe that 88 car may have used up his tires a little bit? Talked about how Sedlak talked about Doucette. Those cars sit P1 and P2 right now on the racetrack, so the 51 did not get to the lead quite yet. But those 2 cars, they kind of rode around in second. The 88 really ran strong after qualifying second, made the move on Sedlak, started to get a gap. Now he's going backwards. He just got passed by Damon Gilbert. Now he's P5.
It looks like Nathan Sedlak's going the opposite way. I think he's got this figured out, because he's been able to pull away here over the last couple of laps here now and extend his lead out here, so he's not in too much danger. But as far as the 88 Michael Churchman, I think he might have used his tires up, because he's fallen back now. He has dropped back behind Damon Gilbert now for the 5th. He's dropped back to the 5th position, and he's got Colton Berkey now getting ready to breathe down his neck to see if he can get that position now. So yeah, it's a very good possibility that Churchman has used up his tires.
And we'll see how far he continues to slide, possibly, as now Colton Berkey, the number 81 car, begins to close in on him. We have been clean and green since the drop of the green flag, and we are quarter distance at the Michigan International Speedway. We're going to take this opportunity to get a drink of water and step away from the microphones for just a moment on our end and go to our first commercial break of the evening. You're watching Sunday Money Season 5 action on LSRTV. A lot more racing from the Irish Hills of Michigan coming up. Stay tuned.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval. And that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself. And they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building 2 tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result, and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it. Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then.
Truex in the outside, contact made, 56 slides it into 4, who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Back live, and the green flag still remains out at the Michigan International Speedway, where the 35 is set and sail. That's the Store Motorsport Chevrolet entry. Nathan Sedlak, who started on pole position for a brief time, he slid back, and his teammate was able to pull away. Here, take a look at the current top 10 as they run right now. Over the 35 was easily able to get back around Michael Churchma. Damon Gilbert up 4 spots to second. Third right now, George Barkey got Nick Doucette in fourth. But Michael Churchman continuing to slide, Carl, now 6th position after leading just about 20 laps ago.
Not sure exactly what's going on there. Like I said, maybe his tires went away. About the only thing I can think of, because his cars look good out there on the racetrack. I've been watching him the last few laps here. I've been riding along with him, and I haven't seen any issues. Just maybe fighting a little bit of a loose condition, but it's not really all that pronounced. Why he's falling back, I'm not sure. But it doesn't take much here. You know, you're off by just a half mile an hour, and that's bad. I mean, that could throw you out of the playing here really quick. And right now he's got Dan Bailey looking like he's getting ready to come up here and want to do some damage and maybe get around him also.
He took a look at some of those lap times. People behind Nathan Sedlak running faster than him for brief moments. They are not that far away from each other. Gilbert just about 0.3 of a second ahead of George Bark. That does give a little bit of a draft advantage when you're running speeds here equally as fast, if not faster, than you are at tracks like Talladega and Daytona. 204 miles an hour at that time into the quarter for Damon Gilbert, allowing the 16 to get the draft off of that and close in that little bit with the increased spoiler height here as opposed to some of the plate tracks. You could imagine why. Then you'll see a little bit faster lap times for Bark and then Doucette, Borges, guys like that who find themselves in traffic. When we stepped away, the only car that had fallen off the lead lap had an incident. That still remains is Gordon Berkey. He is still down on pit road, but the D&K trucking entry has not been able to get back to the racetrack. He appears that he will finish 22nd out of 22 cars on the racetrack. But we do have 4 people now that are down a lap, and one of them is a driver that needs a good run. Brandon Cruz Mostavice has fallen to the P21 spot. The 54 car is now 1 lap down after completing pit service just a couple laps ago. Charles Starks, David Williams, and Dominic Dyball are the 4 other cars that are 1 lap down. That means last car to lead lap in P17 is the 05 of Weston Campbell, but at least right now, and again, just keep in mind that the 54 is there on some strategy. Brandon Cruz Mostavice is well behind Dylan Ackert, who is P12, and Ackert's the one that needs the help in points.
Yeah, like I said, I was just getting ready to say, I've been watching Dylan Ackert here. He has been flawless out here, doing exactly what he has to do. He's actually moved up a couple positions now. He is up to the 12th position after starting out in 14th position. And yeah, Brandon Cruz has dropped way back there, 1 lap off, like you said. Not sure exactly if he was having some issues out there. Just said enough is enough. Needed to get some new tires underneath that car. There's no changes that you can really make on these cars to fix any kind of issues that you're having. You just go in and put new tires on it and come back out and hope for the best. But yeah, maybe a little bit of strategy involved there with Brandon coming in early, getting his new tires, getting gas, and we'll have to take a look and see what's going to happen here later on in this race, because everybody, it looks like, is getting ready to start green flag pit stops here very soon.
And that puts those cars that have already come down pit road into a little bit of a short pit strategy, coming down a little bit earlier than some of these other drivers because of the way the fuel loads are staggered, maybe taking the shorter of their stints earlier in the race as opposed to maybe at the end, like some of these drivers up the front of the field are intending on doing. The 05 car you see right there up on the high side of our race leader, Nathan Sedlak, the 05 car going to be going backwards, and now we're hearing over the radio that our race leader is going to be going down pit lane this next time around. Here he may have had some issues with Dominic Dyball. He got nudged by the 13 of David Williams and made a spectacular save in corner 2. Did lose a lot of speed down the straightaway, but is not in the fence and will continue on after contact there. But now Sedlak has announced that he's coming down pit road, and a whole flood of other drivers appear that they are going to be following that 35 car in right now out of 4.
Yeah, you got Michael Churchman, Ryan Borges, Salicardi. Them 3 cars are definitely coming into the pitch right now. Here comes Nathan Sedlak as he's dropping down off of that banking, coming out of turn number 4. He's going to come down pit road. Let's follow him down pit road, see what he's going to do here.
Sedlak in, you have Damon Gilbert in, Nick Doucette, Ryan Borges, Michael Churchman, Dan Bailey, Colton Berkey, Salicardi, Patrick Scoggio, Dylan Ackert, Joel Wood. Looks like pretty much all of our leaders are going to be coming down pit lane this time, except for George Barth. The number 16 car stays out to assume the race lead. The 35 car now enters his stall to start his service. Right side tires scoop it up and expect that to be a 4-tire stop and filling it full of Sunoco race fuel. 35 car now off and away. Not the first car, though, to exit. J.R. Johnson actually beats our leaders out of pit lane. He was already down there, however, when they entered. So out of our leaders, Nathan Sedlak comes down pit road P1. He exits P2 as George Bark remains on the racetrack in the number 16 machine. This could give the 16 a big advantage because he may put Nathan Sedlak a lap down to 35, blends up to speed, and I don't think Bark's going to be able to do it because of the 35 now going to be on fresh tires. But what George is hoping to do is, Carl, maybe get a yellow, trap a whole lot of people a lap down, then be able to come down and pit while they take the wave round and go to the top spot. That small shot's not going to work because now the 16 car is going to bring it down pit road. And I'm always a fan of the short pit, so let's see where the 16 car ends up after he stayed out there for an extra 2 laps compared to everybody else on older tires.
Looks like back up here in the front right now, it's going to be Nathan Sedlak. He is going to reassume this lead here. Damon Gilbert's going to be in second place. Dustin Lee is third. Nicholas Doucette sitting here in the 4th position. Ryan Borges will be in 5th. And Michael Churchman is back up here to 6th position now.
Trouble for George Bark at a pit lane. We're on board with him. He overshot the stall. Had to put it in reverse for a moment. Now gets service done. Right side of the tires going up, left side as well. And it is going to be a 4-tire stop. No, Bark now exits pit lane. 2 tires only on the 16 car, plus he was on older tires. Not sure how that strategy is going to work, considering that Nathan Sedlak has already exited the pit lane in front of Bart.
You say he only took on 2 tires?
Yeah, he stayed out for those 2 additional laps, and then he overshot his stall, then only took 2 right side tires, no lefts.
Wow, that's going to be an interesting thing to watch here because like we said earlier, these cars are very loose as it is. He's going to go out. He's going to be out there with, and it's showing. I can see it as he's going into the turn there. His car is very, very loose. So this is going to hurt George Barks, I believe, a lot because these cars are they're a harder car to drive around than like the B car or the trucks. They're a lot more temperamental. They want the tires underneath them. And as I'm watching the 16 car here now, George Barks, he is all over the place trying to keep that car straight. I'm watching the steering wheel, though. He's able to keep it pretty straight, but you can see the back end of the car wanting to kick out here as he's going through the turns. So I'd say what he did is he just loosened that car up even more than what it already was.
And now sliding to what is going to be P7 on the racetrack after running just a little bit higher than that when we started the pit cycle. So again, when you are on older tires, you're evidently running slower than fresh tires. When everybody else came down pit road, they went out on fresh tires. George Bark ran an additional 2 laps on those older tires as opposed to when they would all meet up. The leaders had already put 2 down on fresh tires. Now, you would think that that would give the advantage to Bart once he got back out, but, I mean, only for maybe a lap, and I think he lost more than he gained. Couple that with the fact that, again, he had that mistake on pit road, overshooting the stall. It's just something that you can't do. You can't afford a mistake like that, and it cost him to back up. He tried to save time by taking 2 tires, and it does get it back out inside the top 10. He would not object to a caution, so he can come back down and get 4 tires. However, don't expect that to happen. It is a fair possibility, but with a pit lane speed of 55 miles an hour, very easy to slide through the box. But this race does have a very clean and green feel to it. We have had a couple of times when we've seen cars have contact. You'll take a look at a replay of one of those incidences right now with the 00 of James Brown. He has had issues. We've had other guys get sideways and have to save it. Cars have wrecked out of this race. Dominic Dyball's had some trouble as well. But through all of that, no cautions, and again, still green this race. If it goes green all the way, it could be done in just about an hour and 10 minutes for 100 laps and 200 miles at Michigan. That's not bad. In the 35 car, he's liking the clean air, about 1.4 seconds up on Damon Gilbert, that 68 car, who sits P2.
Looking back here now at the 14th position, which is Brandon Cruz Monsivice. He must have had a better pit stop than did Dylan Ackhart, because Ackhart came back out of the pits after that round of pit stops. He is in 16th position. He's about a second behind Monsivice right now, and Monsivice is doing exactly what he has to do at this moment. All he has to do is just stay at least one position ahead of Ackhart, and he's going to be able to maintain his lead over Ackhart going into the points chase. Like I said, that 12th place is a very important place right now, important position, because once next week is over, all is said and done, whoever's in the 12th place is going to be the last position that's going to be able to contend for the championship here at the end of the season. And right now, like I said, Brandon Cruz Monsivice is doing exactly what he needs to do. He just got up past Charles Starks here into the 13th position. And Dylan Ackhart, like I said, he's sitting about a second behind him now, about 3 positions back in the 16th position. So Ackhart not where he needs to be anymore. And like I said, all Monsivice has to do is finish one position ahead of him for the next 2 weeks. And Monsivice is in, Ackhart is out.
18 cars remain on the lead lap, 3 of them out at least in this race. Off the lead lap, Lucky Dog, if we were to have yellow, would be to the J.R. Johnson number 37 entry. He was just passed by our second place car, Damon Gilbert. Gilbert gets a little bit squirrely off the 2, and the 37 shows at least some decent speed, but was not fast enough in that opening stint. And with the continued green flag runs, things aren't looking too well for him. The 00 of James Brown just in front of our leaders on the racetrack, and he is 18th on the racetrack, as would be the first car to lose his lead lap status if Nathan Sedlak were to catch up to him, which I would expect to happen here in this next stint if we continue under green flag conditions. Again, you're watching the Sunday Monday Series. For those that don't know, this series is a qualify-in per week series, and drivers are required to qualify in one of 3 qualified races held on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. A driver must finish in the top 12 of a qualifier to make the show on Sunday. Prior to joining the qualifying race, each driver is required to send a $6 deposit that can be used all week long until qualified. If a driver does not make it into the Sunday money, the driver can request their deposit back or just leave it in their CORA account for the next attempt to qualify in a race. If a driver does qualify for a Sunday money, a portion of the entry fee goes towards the weekly race purse, and a portion goes to the championship fund. 100% of all entry fees entered throughout the season are paid back to the drivers.
Kind of looking back here through the field, not seeing a lot of action going on right now. Everybody is pretty well strung out around this big racetrack here, and not a lot of close racing going on. We have our leader right now of Nathan Sedlak. He is sitting 1.792 seconds ahead of Damon Gilbert that we had. Like I said, Damon Gilbert sitting in second place, Nicholas Doucette in third, Ryan Borges in fourth place. Dustin Lee is up to the 5th position now. That's where he started out, but he slid back here earlier on in the race. He is back up to the 5th position. Michael Churchma is still sitting here in the 6th position after his free fall earlier on in the race. And we have Dan Bailey sitting here in the 7th position. In the 8th position is going to be George Park. 9th position, Dominic Dyball. After his issues, he's still able to maintain the top 10. And David Williams sitting here in the 10th position.
Do want to give a shout out to everybody that is in the chat right now, live on the broadcast. We got Joshua Spencer, looks like Hoosiers in there as well. We monitor the comments and we thank everybody for joining in with us week in and week out, or I guess for the matter of fact, day in and day out with all the series that we have on LSRTV as well. You can use the hashtag LSRTV on Twitter, and that'll show up live on the broadcast. Good fight going on right now for P13, and there are 3 cars fighting in this one at a passing of the torch, because the 01 going to bring the 29 with him. Dan Pransula makes the pass on Brandon Cruz Monsivice. He brings Dylan Ackert through, and again, Ackert is the car that needs to gain 11 points on Brandon Cruz Monsivice in these next 11 races. He's 1 spot up on him at the moment, which won't be that 11, but it's a step in the right direction as that 29 goes by the 54.
Yeah, it was a good race there for a couple moments there as they caught up at the back end of Monsivice. Monsivice seems to be slowing down once again. He did that earlier on in the race. He was running good there for the first 4 or 5 laps after the start of the race, and just started kind of slowing down, falling back. It looks like he's doing the same thing now. We were a couple laps into this run. Well, he's had those tires on longer than any of these other drivers because he did that early pit stop there, and he is starting to fall back now as these guys' newer tires are starting to come back up through. So Monsivice is going to start dropping back through the field as the John Pansula car gets sideways hard into the inside wall coming off of turn number 4 down the backstretch.
The trouble for John Pansula, not the first time tonight. We have seen a car get sideways in quarter 2. It happened to take Gordon Berkey out of the event, and the 01 tried the brakes. He tried turning it to the right. None of that worked, and heavy impact with the inside retaining wall for John Pansula. That car remains on the apron and puffing a lot of smoke down in 3 and 4. The 01's going to be coming down pit road. The replay goes live now, but he now loses that engine in the corner as he heads pit lane bound. That will drop him out of this race and leave us with 17 cars on the lead lap in this one. As you take a look at the replay, we are halfway through, and let's give you the full field rundown in your mid-race leaderboard, presented by Hurley Property Management. Nathan Sedlak leads this race. Second is Damon Gilbert. Ryan Borges in third. Fourth is Nick Doucette. Dustin Lee, P5. Sixth is Michael Churchma. Seventh, Dan Bailey. George Bark now back at 8th position on the 2-tire call. Ninth is Dominic Dyball. And Salacardi rounds out our top 10. 11th on through, David Williams. 12th position is Colton Berkey. Dylan Ackert in 13th. 14th is Brandon Monsivice. 15th is Charles Starks. Patrick Scahill is 16th and 17th. Last car on the lead lap is the double of Lafarge entry of James Brown, who has gotten a quick fix after earlier contact from the 13 car. J.R. Johnson is now the first car 1 lap down to 37, his 18th position. 19th is Weston Campbell, and P20 is John Pansula. He is down on pit road and may very well be out of this race. He will join the likes of Gordon Berkey, who would be out of this race as well. Joel Wood's going to bump up from 22nd now to 20th right there as he now passes the car that is pretty much done on pit road, and heavy smoke still pours out of the 01 machine. So we'll give you an update if Pansula is able to return to the racetrack. They can now repair and replace, I guess, blown engines. The 01 does take his quick fix, his Mac out there on the racetrack. So even if you use up all your quick fixes, lose your engine, Carl, you can still get back out there if you wait 45 minutes.
Yeah, well, if you wait 45 minutes, I think you're about done. Back up here to the front, though, we have Nathan Sedlak. He's still running up here with almost a 2-second lead over Damon Gilbert. Not able to catch up with him. Looks like Nathan Sedlak really has this setup and track figured out, because he has been able to do this now for the past couple of runs, be out in the lead and have a nice big extended lead, nothing to worry about at all. So as our points leader, he's doing exactly what he needs to do to keep his points lead. That's lead, because nobody can get as many points as he's getting right now, leading the most laps, leading the race, and if he takes it all the way to the end, winning the race, he'll once again gain the most points and just extend his lead. But like I said, once this next race is over here in Atlanta next week, everything is going to be reset, and we're going to be looking at everybody starting with a clean slate. The big giant points lead that he's going to have is going to be gone, and it's going to be a whole new season as we see another car getting around here coming off of turn number 4.
Continued trouble. The loose condition is biting a lot of these guys at Michigan International Speedway as everybody trying to get back going. A lot of smoke as you exit quarter number 4 from those cars that continue to get sideways. We do remain again, though, under green flag conditions and no caution from yet another minor incident that car was able to, appears to be at least, to hang on to it and not end up in a fence like about a 50-50 split for cars that have gotten real sideways have done so far tonight. Over Nathan Sedlak rounds that at quarter number 4, and this time by the start-finish line, just about 40 laps to go from the Irish Hills of Brooklyn, Michigan, and we will step away for our second caution flag of the night. However, everything is still clean and green on track. You're watching CORA Sunday Money action from Michigan. The race to the checkered flag is about to heat up, and that's coming up real soon.
Cars are lined up on the grid. The Irish.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn 1 for the first time.
$205 miles an hour at that time, down into quarter number 1 as Nathan Sedlak continues to lead the MIS 200 for the Michigan International Speedway. Live on LSRTV, glad to have you with us. Myself, Evan Pasoko, along with Carl Jones up at the broadcast booth. And Carl, the pit stops are starting to cycle on through for the final time tonight. The cars that we saw come down pit road on the short pit strategy earlier on in the race that many of us had questioned if it was going to be the right idea, taking their shorter stint of this race as opposed to a 40, a 40, and a 20. Make it easy. They take their 20 early and their 2 40s after, as opposed to our leaders that appear going to be taking their longer stints and then that short 20-lap shootout if they were to stretch it. And again, it's a lot more complicated, but we'll do that just to make it simpler. Those guys took their shorter run early. The leaders plan on doing it later, so that's what sounds the guys like Dominic Diebel and Brandon Monsavice, who really needs a good finish tonight, with Dylan Ackert being all over him all race long. really big question, as opposed to if a caution were to fly, that would trap these guys a lap down. So that's quite the strategy call.
Yeah, just my thoughts exactly. These guys are taking a big chance by doing that, being off sequence with these guys here, because they're coming in, they're going that lap down so they can get their tires and their fuel. But if the caution should come out while they're a lap down, that's going to stick them a lap down. Only one car is going to get the lucky dog, and right now that's going to be George Barch. So, yeah, if a caution came out, these guys' plans, they're out the window, because that would put them a lap down. They'd be pretty much out of contention at that point altogether.
We have a pass-through penalty that is being assessed to number 13 of David Williams. He blended up on the racing surface after his stop before he completed going through the apron down on the inside of quarters 1 and 2. Blended right back up. Although the track was clear, it is against what they discussed in the driver's meeting. The 13 car is not going to be given an actual black flag, but race control has just told him to go down and make a pass-through penalty, and that is why you see the 13 car back on track, and that essentially takes David Williams out of contention for any sort of a solid finish. He'll come into his stall and then go back out and exit the pit lane here. But after making his first stop, now coming down pit road, going back out, now he's going to be able to probably fall 2 laps down with Charles Starks, Joel Wood, Weston Campbell, and those drivers that have not had the smoothest sailing, to say the least, so far in tonight's event. However, Sedlak still leads, now 9 seconds over anybody else on the racetrack as these pit stops begin to cycle through. Nick Doucette, who has been up front, just now coming down pit road about 2 laps ago. And now 35, Nathan Sedlak coming down pit road for the final time tonight. Is the 08 bite on it? No. Looks like Dan Bailey's going to stay out on the racetrack, take his lead lap lead, and he crosses the start-finish line and puts the bonus point in the back pocket for later on. But Sedlak is down pit road.
Just watching Damon Gilbert there, he was our second place runner coming into the pits there. He overshot his pit stop, had to back up a little bit there, lost some time there in the pits, so that's not a good thing. You're running in second place. You need to come in, you need to have a good solid pit stop, which means you have to come down off the track clean, get down into the pits without speeding, hit your pit stall just right so these guys can get out there. And we have caution on the track,
Nathan Sedlak is going to be able to complete his service, exit pit lane, and that is a huge break for him, but terrible news for the cars that have already pitted. Trouble down the back straightaway for the Ohio State University Chevrolet SS, number 99 on the door. That is Charles Starks, after starting this race in 15th position. Turn 2, again the culprit, however, this time, instead of spinning into the inside wall like everybody else, overcorrects and gets into one of the fastest cars tonight. Carl, the 51 of Nicholas Doucette, with nowhere to go, gets into the back of the 99. Charles Starks goes around, and now not only does Doucette have damage and he's trapped a lap down, that adds insult to injury, and all those people that completed that short pit strategy, well, that's the risk that they took, and unfortunately, it's not going to work out in their favor.
That's like I said, the strategy is now out the window because these guys are all now stuck a lap down. So we're going to have names. Let's take a look here. Michael Churchman, Dustin Lee, George Barks, J.R. Johnson, Nicholas Doucette, Dominic Dyball, Dylan Acker, Brandon Cruz, Monsivice are all stuck a lap down. David Williams also stuck a lap down, or 2 laps down actually. But I mean, that is, this could have been huge. For the win, it is huge. But for that 13th position, I can't stress this enough. For that transfer position, the 12th position, Dylan Eckhart and Brandon Cruz are both stuck that same lap down, so they'll still be able to race for that position, being that they're both a lap down. So for the win, these guys might be done for this race because this has been a green race this whole way, right up now until lap number 72, and now we're seeing all these drivers stuck this lap down. Like I said, maybe the race for the win is over, but that transfer position is still up for grabs.
The race controller reviewing with the drivers everything that's going on now, and the scoring loops all need to update so that we can get an accurate reading on that. You're looking at the standings as they run right now. It has primarily been a Chevy show. However, it is Dan Bailey in the Toyota that sits on the top spot. He just came down pit road to complete his service. He's going to blend back out on the racetrack, and we'll try to go back in behind some of these guys. Really lucking out in this exchange is Nathan Sedlak car, because he was down pit road. That caution flew right before he hit the pit lane, then he would have had to kind of dive out and would have had to pit cycle through with everybody else. But he got lucky because he just completed his service. Caution came out. He was able to jump out right behind the pace car and really didn't lose as much as he could have, because now you got guys in front of him like Colton Berkey, Ryan Borges. Those cars are out on track. They have already pitted, so Nathan Sinlak is going to have to try to pass 6 cars or so, 5 maybe, when this 08 car cycles off at the top spot. He is going to have to pass people, but it could have been a lot worse.
Oh yeah, it could have been a total disaster there if he would have, like you said, if he would have been pulling down pit road when that caution came out. He would have had to. He had one of 2 choices. He would have either had to just drive right straight through pit road back out on the racetrack and then had to come back in for pits, or he would have been able to stop and get his tires and fuel, obviously, while he was there. But yeah, he would have gone that lap down. But yeah, he was lucky. He got off of pit road just in time there. The caution came out, so no harm, no foul. Really, it only puts him back a little bit. He's had a really fast car. I don't see him having too much trouble getting back up here to the front. I think he's going to cycle out around somewhere around maybe 3rd or 4th position here after all is said and done. So I don't think he's going to have too awful much to worry about, because he has been a really fast car. He had at one point almost a 3-second lead on the field. So he has this track figured out. He's fast, and he's only sitting back there in the 3rd position. So I wouldn't count any of these top drivers out, but I especially wouldn't count Nathan Sedlak out. He's got a good chance of getting back up here to the front. Real quick rundown here during this caution now. We have Damon Gilbert, Ryan Borges, Nathan Sedlak, Dan Bailey, Patrick Skyhill, and the 00 of James Brown now sitting in the 6th position. So this kind of helped out James, because James had that issue early on which dropped him back into the back of this pack. He has now been able to go in and get that car repaired. He's had another pit stop now, got new tires put on the car. So the 00 now has moved up to 6th position. Then we have Salicardi, Colton Berkey, Michael Churchman, and Dustin Lee sitting here in the top 10.
And how about Damon Gilbert in this exchange, the number 68 car? We still do work behind the race car, because there are a whole ton of cars that are going to be waiting to get the wave rounds. Dustin Lee, George Bark, Dominic Dyball, Dylan Ackert, J.R. Johnson, and Brandon Mossavais are going to be able to get their lead lap statuses back, because they stayed out as opposed to coming down with their leaders. Right now, they're all going to bypass the pace car and go on and catch back up with everybody else. So they'll cycle back, and they will have to sit, however, behind the lap traffic, but they still will be out there on the racetrack. Dylan Ackert, however, right in that mix as well, following Mossavais through. Actually, Mossavais following him through. So it's funny that they enter this race 11 points apart, Carl, and they find themselves side by side on the track. And if it were to finish as they sit right now, that gap would only be smaller heading into Atlanta for the final race of the regular season campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're talking just maybe a 1 or 2 points difference here with the two if it finishes the way it sits right now, with Dylan Ackert being ahead of Montevais. But you know, that could be huge come next week. You know, Dylan was maybe 5 or 6 cars ahead of Brandon Cruz Montevais. That would make the big difference there in who would have the final transfer spot into the championship run. You know, every point counts right now here towards the end of the season, especially as close as they are. And with people, you know, we cannot count out people like James Brown, who's sitting up here now in the 6th position. If he gets up here and wins this race, and you know, something happens where Dylan Ackert and Brandon Cruz have any more issues, and they end up finishing any further back than what they are, you know, it's still going to close it up. If James Brown gets up here and does any better what he is, or actually where he's at right now, he is even going to close in. So, you know, we can't count drivers like that out. He is not that far behind in the points right now. He is sitting back there in 14th or 15th position, and he could actually make up that and get up there to the 12th position and knock both of these guys out of contention.
Green flag back in the air, and no challenge, at least for the top spot. The 68 maintains that. However, he has a rear view mirror full of Storm Motorsports. Ryan Borges was the lone Storm car that didn't start out with Sedlak in church, but started back in 7th, restarted in this one in P2. Nathan Sedlak going to make the pass down low, so 68, 35, 32 of the running order as they head down the back straightaway. Looks like a couple cars maybe in the fence. The 37 is a little bit slow. That's J.R. Johnson. Does have some right side damage. Looks like he did hit the wall coming after corner 2, and He does get stuck in the wall when you hit it, so had to jerk that thing off the wall. When he did that, could have easily gotten sideways, possibly spun out, so he's able to kind of hang on, and that could have been a lot worse. Keeps it up as high as he could. Nobody involved in anything there, and we stay green flag racing. But this is a whole new ball game. Borges looks to the inside on Damon Gilbert. That doesn't work, and now Nathan Sedlak back to the point after starting on pole position, trying to wrap this one up and make it a complete race as he goes back to the point in the final quarter.
Yeah, right now it looks like that Damon Gilbert is the meat in the middle of the sandwich here of the Storm Motorsports cars, as Nathan Sedlak is back up to the lead. Ryan Borges sitting back there in the third position, sandwiching Damon Gilbert in between the two of them. And like I said, I knew that Sedlak had everything he needs, because he's got this figured out. He's got a really fast car, and he is able to get it back up here to the front like I thought he was going to. But, still can't count on drivers like Damon Gilbert, though. I mean, great driver. Ryan Borges, another great driver. These guys, any one of these three drivers up here in the front can win this race. Just got to figure out what to do with Nathan Sedlak. And as we speak, here comes Damon Gilbert one more time, taking a look down to the inside. Doesn't do anything with it, as it has to bring it back up in the line as the car kind of slips back up the racetrack. So no pass there as Damon Gilbert settles back in the second position.
And the 35's been able to get the point. All lives need to shift back to the Michael Churchman car, who's been running strong in this race as well. The number 88 sits right now in P6 and very closely closing in on Patrick Scahill, who's having a great run in the number 60 Chevrolet to be able to sitting up there and on point in this race right now. Nathan Sedlak, who again thought that it may have been a lot worse for him on that cycle of yellow flags. Well, he's already been able to get back up to the top spot, as we mentioned, after restarting in P3. 68's not letting them get too far away. Damon Gilbert, 1.5 car lengths off of the back there. Borges as well, trailing as the top three, trying to get a little bit of breathing room over Bailey, Scahill, Churchma, and company. I do expect the battle, though, for P5 here very soon, because the 88 with a run takes a look to the inside, right to the bumper of the 60 of Scahill. Now it looks to make a move to the inside for a fight for fifth.
Big battle right now going on for the 12th and 13th position between Dominic Dyball and Dylan Ackhart. Very, very close call there as Dylan got into the back bumper there. Dominic Dyball pushed him back up the racetrack, now down to his inside. But real close call there. Just about took Dominic Dyball out of this race there with that move there, as Ackhart finally was able to get down to the inside and get this pass made. But really close for those two drivers here, just about a half a lap ago. And whoa, really close. One more time, they did contact. They did have contact. The 29 and the 15 car both just had some contact there. As you see the right quarter panel there, the Dylan Ackhart machine kind of crumple up there as they made contact. Not a lot of damage, but some, as they did get together there. And Dominic Dyball right back into the back bumper to pay back a little bit there to Dylan Ackhart, as Ackhart is now up in front of Dyball.
We talked about that you cannot afford mistakes, and nobody said a mistake was at the hand of yourself. Somebody else gets into you the slightest bit. Again, contact now. The 16 car is going to get turned by the 13, sideways and hanging on. Somehow the 13 now back up in huge contact. Sal Accardi is able to get through. It's Dominic Dyball that is hard into the outside retaining wall after it got ugly real fast in 1 and 2. Not sure what the story was beneath the 13 and the 16 machines, but just said that it doesn't have to be a mistake on your end, and the 13 car just drove it into the corner. This keeping in mind that George Bark is 16th, and it was David Williams who was a lap down fighting with George Bark. Just goes to the inside and dumps him. He got on the left rear and he couldn't stay off of him. Was able to save it was Bark, and then the 13 got in the grass, came back up and just clobbered Dominic Dyball hard into the outside wall. Went that number 15 machine entry, and caution flag flies. He did come back down the racetrack. Nobody else involved, though, as they're able to kind of sneak through. But that, again, very quickly, two cars get hooked together, Carl. They couldn't seem to get off of each other, and next thing you know, 3 cars on the record.
Yeah, this will be our second caution of the day now. Lots of damaged vehicles out there on the racetrack. And, that's a shame for Dominic Dyball. He was having a decent run there until the 13 car just came up and just sandwiched him between him and the wall, and lots of heavy damage there for the Dominic Dyball machine. Don't know if he's going to be able to make it back out on the track or not. He's sitting there in pit road right now. He had to tow it, So he is going to be sitting there waiting for the tow truck to drop him off at his pit stall, see if he can get his damage fixed and get back on the racetrack. But yeah, very, very, very hard contact there, which I do believe took the engine out of the number 15 car, who was fighting hard there with Dylan Ackar for the last few laps.
And now we head to pit lane for what could be and probably will be the final stops on the night. Leaders coming down for a restart that's going to be underneath 15 laps to go. Nathan Sedlak leads us down. Do we see any tire strategy? We saw George Bark take 2 on a great flag cycle, which you don't know if it's the best idea or not. He's on the lead lap, but finds himself in trouble. And it is going to be one car that throws the tire. It looks like 2 cars, 3 cars.
4 cars.
Taking the strategy call. It looks like it's going to be James Brown on 2 tires, Patrick Scott-Heel on 2 tires, and Ryan Borges will go to the top position after being in second spot already, Carl. Nathan Sedlak goes with 4 from the top spot. He'll slide back, but Ryan Borges on 2 tires will now lead this race.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting thing to see here. Now you got a bunch of cars that, like you said, did go in and take 2 tires instead of 4. They only have 15 laps to go left in this race here. Don't know what kind of implications this is going to have for the end of this race, but you're going to have a bunch of cars starting back behind these guys on 4 tires, and you're going to have cars like Nathan Sedlak and Michael Churchman, who have been strong all day long, especially during the long part of this, the long green flag run there with Nathan Sedlak. We're going to have to see if he can make his way now up through some traffic here and get back up to the lead, or is he going to have to settle with maybe a 4th or 5th place finish after this, because it's going to be tough, getting around some of these drivers out here. So you got guys like I said, James Brown, who is looking to get himself up into the top 12 for the championship. He's going to have to get around drivers like that, who I know James just took 2 tires. I was on his car when he was in the pits there, and he only took 2. Is James going to give him any kind of a fight to try to keep him back there? Points leader, you never know.
Well, as we work under what may or may not be the final caution flag of this race, because cautions breed cautions, and it can get really exciting when we get down to the final 15 laps at a wide racetrack like Michigan, where people are going to fan out. We will step away for a very brief moment, take our final commercial break during race flag conditions. You're watching CORA's Sunday Muddy Action from Michigan, and the fight for the checkered flag will be here real soon.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since 20, and it's known for several permutations since then.
The lights have been extinguished on top of the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car as we get set to go back green flag racing. Could it be for the final time tonight? This restart will be at 14 laps to go. The 32, the 60 row run, the 0035 row 2, the 54, the 68 in row 3, all the way back till we get to who was our race leader before we all came down pit lane and got everything shuffled up. Nathan Sedlak in that 35 car on those 4 tires. Green flag back in the air. We're racing from MIS once again, and gone is Ryan Borges. He's easy to get whatever he can. The crossover, Sedlak splits the gap between the 60 and the 00 to the inside. He already wants P2 down into quarter number 1.
Yeah, Nathan Sedlak, he is wanting this win, it looks like, because he is coming right back up here towards the front now as he's going to be on the back heels of his teammate, the Storm car of Ryan Borges, as he gets, as the Nathan Sedlak machine is able to get around Patrick Skyhill for the position. Skyhill is going to fight back here now to the inside. Let's see if Skyhill is going to be able to do anything with him at all. He's going to get loose coming off of turn number 4 there, but not going to lose too much on the position. He's going to stay right up on the quarter panel right now of Nathan. And is he going to be able to make the pass? Whoa, close call there. Whew, had to hold my breath there for a second there as Sedlak came down there on Skyhill. I didn't think that Skyhill was going to have anywhere to go, but another big crash here in the back of the field.
Trouble down the back straightaway, and around goes the 39 of Salacardi out of the apron and stop, no caution. As he tries to get it back going, spins out once again, and there is the caution flag from the tower as the 39 car tried to do what we saw Sedlak do, but there wasn't quite enough room, trying to squeeze in between the 50 and the 16 car, and unfortunately, well, the 16 was there, and he gets turned off of the nose of the George Bark entry. Bark going to get some damage in that. They were good, and again, iRacing did not trigger the caution flag. However, the caution is coming from race control. Plus, there were a couple of incidents or near incidents, Carl, that you were talking about right before that actual caution flag, and the incident that I guess triggered the caution flag had come out down the back straightaway. So we slow us down once again. Now we're going to be within 10 to go. I think this would only give us an opportunity for one more yellow after this and a restart. Other than that, you got to get to talking about if we get a yellow with less than 4 to go, this race does end under caution flag conditions.
Yeah, what this is going to do, though, is going to put Nathan Sedlak back up to the outside now of Ryan Borges now, and Sedlak has been strong every restart so far, as we've seen, and good, very, very good possibility we may see a lead change here before the end of this race. But, you know, you can't count on cars like Damon Gilbert. Damon Gilbert's been sitting up here all day long here in the second, third position, and he has been a very strong car. He's been able to keep up here. He actually led a couple of laps up here early on, and, you know, you can't count somebody out like him. Patrick Skyhill, he has moved his way all the way up here now to the 4th position after starting in 19th. He's been running about mid-pack all day long, and he is now sitting up here in the front. Michael Churchman, he has moved his way back up here to 5th position also. So, I mean, we got a bunch of really strong drivers up here in the front. James Brown and Colton Berkey, they're also up here now in the top 7. So, I mean, this race can go any way right now. But it's going to be interesting to watch this restart here with the 2 teammates side by side on the with Nathan Sedlak on the outside, Ryan Borges to his inside, to see what kind of a restart we're going to get here. If Nathan's going to be able to take the lead and take off with this again, or is Ryan Borges going to maybe hold his teammate back? I don't see him doing that, being that his teammate is the points leader right now. So.
Hey, you talked about it, you posed a question before the race went green, and we talked about it in a little bit of a pre-race show that we had. The fact that what does a guy like Nathan Sedlak fight for coming into this? Leading the points, he's good by 443 points to 13th in the championship stand. There's no real risk at all of dropping out of title contention, and I said go for wins. That is exactly what he is doing. Both him and Ryan Borges, they top the championship standings. They got nothing to lose. They're teammates, but you always want to beat your teammate to an extent, Carl, because you guys go back to the shop, you talk, you practice together. You want those bragging rights.
Bragging rights.
Borges is not going to pull over for Sedlak. Now, he's not going to wreck him for it, but he's not going to pull over. Sedlak wants to fight for it. They each sit right now with 1 trip to victory lane so far on this Season 5 campaign, so you know that they both want to have, and again, momentum and bragging rights because of the 2 big points to get out of this. Neither of them are going to roll over and give the checkered flag to each other. There's going to be a good fight. The 35 has the advantage of 2 additional tires. We saw a very interesting call at that with George Bark earlier on taking 2 tires after overshooting the stall on pit road. Did that to try to save time. Obviously, he lost time, but the question is, Was he able to get enough speed maybe in the run where he was right out there to the point where can Borges defend 4 tires for X amount of time? 32 could get lucky. We could get a quick caution, another quick caution, and he can also ride the yellows to the win as well.
Oh, absolutely. Anything can happen at this point. Like I said, but like we also cannot count out some of these other drivers that are back here. Anybody has a good chance of winning this race in the top 5. All a bunch of great drivers, and I was kind of bringing up the point at the beginning of this race here. What is people like Nathan Sedlick and Ryan Borges going to do? Are they going to kind of just hold back and just finish the race where they can? No, these guys are true race car drivers. They're going to go out there and do whatever it takes to win in every single event that they're in. They don't care if they have a 100,000 point lead. They are going to go out and try to win this race. That's what these guys do. That's what they, that's what they get paid to do. That's what they, that's what they want to do. They want to try to win everything that they're in. Myself, I don't know if I could do that. If I had a nice big points lead and I didn't have anything to lose, I don't know. I might go out and try to win the race, but I think just thinking about it, I don't want to lose anything either because we still have 2 races to go. And, it's not that big of a points lead. He could still lose everything if he gets wrecked out at the end of this race and he wrecks next week. He could still drop out of the points chase. But he wouldn't drop out of the top 12, and that's all you have to really worry about is if you're in the 12th position after next week's race.
That is the ultimate goal. There is no win and you're in guarantee for any of these drivers. The only thing that has them good for the guys like Nathan Sedlick, Borges, Doucette, Wink, Bark, Bailey, Lee, Gilbert, Churchman, and Dyball, who sit in the top 10 of the championship standings, are the points that they have earned, and that is ultimately the goal. You can maybe give up a checkered flag once in a while. Not that if we expect to see these guys do that, but sometimes it may pay to not wreck yourself going for the checkered flag at some point in the season. Take the points for P2 as opposed to falling back outside the top 20. Get to the championship, and in these next 5 races, after our race that is going to be in 2 weeks' time, the next time we are on air is going to be an open setup race for round 19, and the regular season finale in the Atlanta Motor Speedway in the NASCAR in the Cup Series cars is going to be an open set event. That one on Sunday, March the 29th. So we do have an off week in 1 week's time. Then we go back at it for the Chase deciding race, let you know who the 12 competitors will be. And then the Chase is a great mix of the cars and the tracks that we've seen all year long. How about B cars at Auto Club, Indy cars at Indianapolis, the B cars again at Talladega, trucks at Charlotte, and then Cup cars at Talladega with the new draft model? Going to be an exciting one. Seeing 2 plate races as well in that championship can really throw a big wrench into any title hopes, and you got to hope that luck to some extent is on your side. 15 cars at a lead lap fighting for a checkered flag restart with 8 laps to go. Pace car down and away. Ryan Borges in control of this field. Green flag flies back and away from MIS, and the 32 car is gone for the way only by 1.5 car lengths. He needs help from Damon Gilbert to get to the inside. Not going to be able to do so, and Sedlick, no issues hanging on to second. Now sets his sights on his teammate in P1 right now. Don't count out that 68. How about Patrick Skyhill right now? Best career finish so far this year is the top 10. Right now in the top 5 spot.
Taking a look to the inside right now of Sedlick is going to be Damon Gilbert. Like I said, he has been strong all day long, and here he comes up here now at the end of this race. He is wanting to see if he can get up here and lead this, and Damon Gilbert does put away Sedlick, and Sedlick's going to fall back into the clutches now of Patrick Skyhill. And Skyhill's actually going backwards. Sorry about that, but up here to the front of the race, the 68 car now of Damon Gilbert is looking to get up here and fight with Ryan Borges for this lead, but here comes Nathan Sedlick back down to the inside now as he gets his car back underneath him, gets his composure. He is going back here now for the second position, so it's a really tight fight up here for the front of this race.
They've been 3-4 wide for a lap in the back, and now they go. Big wreck, caution flag flies hard into the wall. The 39 car, Patrick Skyhill, in the number 60 is turned around. Was talking about how that 60 was in a good spot. He went backwards quick, and as you were talking about that battle for those top 3 positions, we were 3 and 4 wide. You saw that on those shots mid-pack for a good portion of that race, and it's contact that is initiated by the 39, it would appear, of Salicardi. Gets into the back of the 60 car. 60 hooks around, and a 3-4 car incident at least big trouble down into corner 3, and then coming back down the racetrack was the 39 and absolutely clobbering the number 99, who looked like he was going to be able to get through. Charles Starks involved in that as he made heavy contact with the number 39 car. Caution flag is out. Many of those drivers losing their engines. And how about this? Damon Gilbert, driver that we've talked about this season, trying to play spoiler a couple of times. Saw him try to fight all season long, and then finally being able to break away and get that vehicle in victory lane. Sits on 2 checkered flags on the year. Nobody has more than 2. If you look at this thing, if you exclude Don Stevenson, who is no longer running in competition, everybody else, the max they have is 2 wins. If Damon Gilbert wins, he'll be able to add 3 to that tally and will be the most winning driver so far of active drivers in this current season, which would be pretty much the best kind of momentum you could get, I would think, headed into the championship that's less than a month away. The 68, though, is going to have one last dash to the checkered flag to hold everybody off if he wants to do so.
That was the question I was just getting ready to pose to you. Do you think these guys are going to go back to green? We are 96 laps into this race now, and it looks like they might have a quote-unquote green-white checkered finish to this. And Joel Wood just fell out of this race here. I don't know what happened with Joel, but he just went through and fell out of the race. Where was he sitting on the track? He was only 1 lap down, sitting back there in the 17th position, but Joel Wood just fell out. Which means he lost connection with the sim server, and Joel Wood has dropped out of this race. Only 1 lap down, but still, it's still like we're talking about here. Points is everything.
Let's give you an update on those drivers that we talked about that are on the bubble for this championship, which really the only 2 positions that are really on the edge. However, big trouble for Joel Wood because, again, he entered this in front of Brandon Mossavais and therefore in front of Dylan Ackert, but only with about a 75-point buffer. With Joel Wood falling out of this race, Mossavais running 11th, that's going to close the gap as well that I may almost make Joel not guaranteed and locked into the championship as we head into the Atlanta Motor Speedway. The points will be updated and whatnot as we go into these off weeks. And again, we'll be back at it on the 29th of March for that race to determine the 12-car chase grid. But that could be huge for Joel Wood to be dropping out of this race. It is Brandon Mossavais, though, who's on the inside trying to defend an 11-point gap. Well, he sits P11 right now. The car he's trying to defend that over, though, Dylan Ackert, 5 spots in front of him in 6th position. This is fixing to be quite the final shootout in Hot Atlanta, Carl, in 2 weeks to determine which one of these, essentially now 3 drivers that are really on the bubble now. Plus, you can't really count out Salicardi. However, he has had issues tonight, and pretty much 17th position, not going to be enough to make any sort of last-ditched effort for that 12th position as we get 2 to go. This is fixing to be quite a show in Atlanta in 2 weeks.
I'll talk about drama. I mean, they're giving us a week off in between this, so we're not even going to be able to settle this for 2 weeks on who's going to be the last cars to get into this chase here at the end of the season. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting thing to see. Like you said, with Joel Wood dropping out, he is only sitting in 11th position. So he is going to lose a bunch of points here. If he's not able to get back into this race at all, he's going to lose a lot of points here, as a matter of fact. And, that could help out Brandon Cruz in a big way because he's not that far behind Joel, and if something happens next week where Joel Wood has more problems, you're gonna be looking at more than just one driver having a chance of falling out of the top 12 in points. So yeah, this is gonna prove to be an interesting end of this season. Still not seeing Joel Wood getting back in here, so we might as well put a pin in him. He is done for the night, I believe. I don't think he's going to be able to get back in here and get back on track before this race is over.
And now 14 cars sit on the lead lap after that incident down the back straightaway. That was probably the biggest incident that we had seen all night long. Take out about 4 or 5 cars. Pretty hard contact down in corner number 3. The field is still single file behind the pace car, whose lights we do anticipate to go off this time by the start-finish line. If they do, we'll take a look at the lights do go out. So it is going to be a green-white checker, maybe a green-white wrecker. Who knows? Because, again, this is not an official green-white checker. The fact that we don't get 3 attempts at it, this is it. If we do not make it one circuit around this 2-mile D-shaped oval, this race will end under caution flag conditions. If we make it to the white flag, doesn't matter how many cars wreck. First person to the start-finish line walks away with a cash payout.
Looks like Joel Wood's going to be able to make it back out here onto the track there. He has reconnected to the server We're going to see if Joel's going to be able to get back out here on the racetrack and at least get a finish in here. He is sitting now 3 laps down in the 21st position. But, you know, he wouldn't be able to make up any points or any positions anyway, so we probably won't see him get back out on the racetrack. He is sitting 3 laps down the next. He'd be able to. The only way he'd be able to make any positions up is if something happened with Weston Campbell there and David Williams. They'd have to actually drop out of this race right now for him to get back out here and do anything. But yeah, these guys are getting ready to go back to green here, and are they going to be able to stay green and finish this under green flag conditions, or is it going to finish under yellow? That is yet to be seen here, as Damon Gilbert's going to be to the inside of Ryan Borges. Nathan Sedlak's going to be sitting in the 3rd position, and to his outside is going to be Michael Churchman.
Very afraid if you're the number 68 of Damon Gilbert, because there is 3 Storm Motorsports Chevrolets on every which side of you. There's nowhere to run except forward. Pace car down and away, and 2 laps to go at MIS to determine the winner tonight with the CORA Sunday Monday Series. Green flag flies, and we race off the corner number 1. The field spreads out 2 wide, 14 cars deep. On the lead lap, but about 20 or so are still active on the racetrack. They need to make it to the white flag if they want to race forward, and right now, the Storm cars battle for a 3rd. Borges on the outside, Churchman down low, top 2 single file.
Damon Gilbert kind of sat back there and waited a long time for that to hit that throttle and kind of back these guys up a little bit, which was a really good idea for him, because he was able to jump out here and get himself a nice little bit of a lead.
Smoke sideways, the 29, Dylan Ackert, trouble as he was ahead of Brandon Moss-Device. That's huge for the championship. As Ackert is sideways, he is slowed on the front straightaway. We get the white flag, and it's a green flag finish to this one, side by side for 2nd and nose to tail for 1st and 2nd.
Here comes Nathan Sedlak one more time. He's going to have just a couple more turns here to see if he can get up and get around the Damon Gilbert machine as he slides high on the racetrack, gets into the outside wall. Damon Gilbert's able to get away from him, and there is going to be no chance at all of Nathan Sedlak. Now, as Michael Churchman's taking a look to his inside, Nathan Sedlak's going to slide back one more position, or is...
Oh, contact in trouble.
Big contact. Big
flag. Into the outside wall. Michael Churchman up and over. Big trouble at a corner 4. Meanwhile, checkered flag to Damon Gilbert, but contact between teammates. Coming through 4 after plowing the car into the outside wall was the 35 machine. He tried to hold off Churchman's last-ditched effort, and Churchman slid up and got into his teammate. They made contact. All of them went around. Borges was in it. Nick Doucette was in it. A huge impact for multiple cars at the final corner puts Damon Gilbert to victory lane. They wrecked for 2nd, not the top spot, and this is a huge shuffle in what the championship was going to be like. Damon Gilbert, by the way, walks away with that 3rd checkered flag, Carl, but it was the incident with 2 laps to go that saw trouble after Brandon Moss-Device was further back in the pack than his counterpart that he's been fighting with. Dylan Ackert got sideways, recovers as he's able to pass wrecking cars out of the final corner, but the 29 now finishes behind Brandon Moss-Device, and that gap of 11 points, instead of getting smaller, is going to give just a little bit more cushioning in the 54's favor headed into the final race of the season.
What an ending to that race there. We have now Damon Gilbert. He has won this race. Colton Berkey has moved all the way up to the 2nd position, and Dan Bailey, I think that's going to be his best finish of the season, now sitting here in 3rd. Patrick Skyhill did get his best finish of the season in 4th. George Barks in 5th, and James Brown, who is in 5th position. And once again, he is one of those drivers who has to get the best finishes he can and stay ahead of Brandon Cruz and Dylan Ackert if he's going to want to get into this race for the chase here at the end of the season. But what a finish we just had right there. It took out, I think, just about every single one of the Storm cars just got taken out in that one last incident.
Well, I told you they would fight for it, maybe not wreck for it. I guess I lied, because they gave it everything they had, and it doesn't really affect them points-wise. Might cost them a little bit as they head back to the shop with some torn-up race cars, but Damon Gilbert is down. You can actually get to victory lane at this track, unlike some places on iRacing. He burns it down in Gatorade victory lane, and his 3rd checkered flag on the year in favor of that number 68 car. We're going to step away and come back for the post-race interviews, the post-race show, with CORA Sunday Monday action coming up on LSRTV. Stay locked from Michigan.
cars are lined up on the grid. The Irish.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn one for the first time.
Back live at another look at that wild finish for the Michigan International Speedway. The post-race show on LSRTV getting kicked off, but what a wicked two-lap shootout. It was the restart before that, within 10 to go, that put Damon Gilbert to the top spot, and then you see the contact with the Storm Motorsports entries behind him that turned both of those cars around and essentially take them out of this race, and it ends up in the favor of the 68 after a big wreck on a white flag in this one. Allows Damon Gilbert to get his third checkered flag on the campaign. And I've caught up down on pit road with a car that comes home in P3 tonight after starting in 13th position, picks up 10 spots to a podium finish down on pit lane with Dan Bailey. And Dan, that was a wild and wicked finish, to say the least. We've been watching that Skittles machine kind of dodge and weave its way through traffic all throughout the afternoon, and again, you had to pass 10 cars to get where you were at the end. Walk us through what the race was like, that really long green flag run, and then pretty much the yellow flag crapshoot at the end that made it anybody's ball game, and you had to dodge and weave your way through that to come out in one piece.
Yeah, I didn't get a very good qualifying effort. I spun my first lap, so I had to redo that, and that was a mess. But my car was really good, I felt, on green flag runs, and I could make my way up through the field, and I was up to 7th, and that whole green flag run from 13th, and then I led a few laps there when everybody pit, and caution came out, and it put me back into 4th, which I was really pleased with, and then another caution came out, and I got put back to the back because everybody took 2 tires. And coming out of 4 on that final lap, George and I were on TeamSpeak together, like, all right, let's make it through this. And I went through about 3 cars, and I couldn't believe I came out in 3rd.
What does this kind of a finish mean for you and the guys that know coming home with the podium is never easy? Michigan's quite the interesting track in these Cup cars, but as well for you and the team looking forward to this championship. Do you feel like you and the guys can kind of be play spoiler for a lot of this? This is going to be your 5th top 5 on the season. That's up there with guys that have multiple wins on the year. Do you feel like going into the championship that you can probably be that dark horse to, maybe fight for a top 5, if not the championship?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I have no wins, so I'm just looking to maybe just get a few great finishes, not win, maybe some top 5s in the chase, and really be like dark horse, like you said, and take the championship. And I think it's a great boost going into the chase and the final race next week.
One race to go, and you are not anywhere near falling out of that championship, so that's not going to be a risk going into that one. Shooting for a checkered flag, I guess, to try to get that one out of the way and give you even more momentum going into the championship. That race is going to be in these Cup cars at the Atlanta Motor Speedway in 2 weeks' time. Do have an off week, and then we go racing for the final time of the regular season. That one is going to be an open setup affair. What are you thinking going into it?
I think just try to get a decent setup, and just try what I did to do this week, and maybe go for the win. I mean, I have nothing to lose, so I'll just fight for that win maybe and end the year off really strong going into the chase.
Before we let you go, there's a lot of people that go on behind the scenes. You guys have to qualify in and week out. There's some names on the cars as well. Who makes it happen for you and the 08 in the team?
Oh, just everybody. Damon Gilbert, Patrick, Dustin, George, Nicholas. We were all together in TeamSpeak and having a great time today, and just want to thank them for a good race and everybody out in CORA.
All right, well, thanks for talking with us, and congratulations on what's going to be a top 3 podium finish for you with the 08 team. Good luck rolling forward in Atlanta in 2 weeks' time, and we'll be making sure to keep an eye on that 08 car when it comes championship time.
All right. Thanks, LSRTV. Thanks for all you do for us.
That is your third place finisher, piloting the number 08 machine. Coming home in third is Dan Bailey. Now down on pit lane with a car that looked like it may have been fighting for a win and comes home one lap down in 13th position. Not quite the result that the 35 was expecting. Carl Jones, you're down there with the driver of the 35, Nathan Sedlak.
Yeah, I caught up with Nathan here, getting out of his car. He's pretty disgusted after that race. Nathan, what happened out there, buddy? I mean, you had the car out there that looked like the car to win this race. Right there towards the end of the race, just everything looks like it broke loose. You want to run us through what happened?
Well, it's a tough break. The late race cautions really cost us. Car was real good out front. It was real good on fresh tires. I like to get away there, and then I could stay out there and not wear out the tires. But the late race cautions put everybody back in play. Some guys get good restarts, bad restarts. I struggled a couple times in 1 and 2, but that last one I really went after Damon in 2 and tried to get the run on him going down the back in a draft or something. I don't know exactly what it is with the draft build that's there. If it's a little bit different, but really pushed on me. Got up 2. I tried to go down in the back stretch, establish my position, and teammate went underneath me and got a little loose. And it is what it is. I really, really could have used a win there. Damon's up to 3, and I'm still sitting at 1. Going into the chase here, it's needed to stay up there. I can lead the points, but you need some wins.
You need some wins, absolutely, but you've had a great season thus far. Unfortunately, the not the finish you were expecting today. I did hear over the radio though, your teammate there did apologize for that. He felt really bad for going down. He said he should have went over top of you and it went down underneath you and lost it, and kind of got into you there. And it looked like you had a great running car there all day long. Though you were able to at one point have a 2-second lead. Over second place, and you were doing really well. But this race over with, now we're heading into Atlanta next week with a open setup. You guys have your setup ready for next week to go, or?
No, I haven't put too much into it just yet with the new build and everything that's going on. It's, pick your poison right now and see what you can work on, what you want to race and open during the week and stuff like that. So we're definitely going to find some time to get to working on that. I've had some success with some other Gen 6 stuff, other tracks. So, dialing in that set shouldn't be a problem, but we'll see exactly what happens. Just trying to make it to the chase now, I guess, and hopefully we'll be good next week.
I don't think you're gonna have too many problems getting into the chase there. You got quite a nice big buffer there on your points lead. This is a little bit of a shot to it, but everything's going to be shaken up and restirred here for the final 5 races of the season. And what's your outlook here going into the points chase? Do you think you have a good chance of staying up there and winning this points championship this season, making it 2 in a row?
Yeah, we're definitely trying to defend this year. It's going to be a little bit tougher. Got some good competition in here, a lot of good guys, and there's some, with the new draft build and everything going on too. There's 2 Talladegas in the chase, so that it really changes a whole lot. There's a big wrench that just got thrown in, and things are changing. I've been pretty comfy for a while, and now going into the last 5 races here, got me a little spooked a little bit, but we'll get in there and to do the best we can, and hopefully we'll be able to defend this year and come out good on those plate tracks and things like that, and do a lot of hard work, finish good.
Well, I know you're going to want to get back here and talk with your teammates here and talk about today's events and get yourself ready for next week. Anybody you want to thank? Any shout outs you have for anything?
Well, thanks to all the guys there at CORA. Me and Mike will talk about it. We'll figure it out. We'll just leave it alone right now. I need to cool down a little bit. But, yeah, thanks to everything you guys do. Like I said, the guys over at CORA and Storm and all they do, and all the rest of the guys in here. Real good race tonight. Enjoyed myself. Good set. It's real fun out there. So thanks to everybody.
That's our points leader, Nathan Solak, finished in the 13th position, 1 lap down after leading a good portion of this race today. Had some problems there, got in some contact there with his teammate Michael Churchma, and pretty much wadded up the winning car, in my opinion. And I believe now Evan Pasoko has caught up with the race leader.
It didn't take him long to get it to the victory lane because it's just located here in the front straightaway grass, but we had to wait for some of the smoke to clear because he did burnouts right in the middle of it. We're down a Gatorade victory lane, and for the 3rd time this season, your winner is piloting that number 68 Chevrolet. Damon Gilbert takes home the checkered flag in this one. Damon, what a finish. I mean, I guess all of the excitement was behind you on that last lap, but you had to make that pass on the second to last restart. Walk us through the night as a whole, kind of being a mid-pack top 10 car. practiced in 7th position, qualified 6th, but made improvements on it as the night went on. Became a competitor there when we saw a lot of cautions fly at the end and took home this victory and now have the most out of any active driver so far this year.
Yeah, at the beginning of the race, I fell backwards. I wasn't that fast on new tires. And once I got about 6 to 10 laps on the tires, I got a lot better. Car would actually handle and do what I wanted it to do. And I made my way back up through the pack. I got to about 4th, and then I had to fight with people. I got up to 2nd, but the green flags pit stops happened. And I was just trying to run down Nathan the rest of the race. And then on the final restarts, I just knew what I had to do. I had to do something to get in front of Nathan, since Nathan seemed to be class of the field all night. And so I got in front of him, and then the caution came out, and that was all that I needed.
I said it's the 3rd trip to victory lane on this season. The only driver that has more than that is not active anymore. So you have the most wins out of active drivers. What does that mean for you when it comes chase time? Because you're well clear of being in a situation where that's going to be a major concern for you, because you got over 100-point buffer headed into our final race of the regular season at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. What does it mean to possibly head into that one? And you're going to have to hold off 3 guys in specific that have 2 if you want to exit the season with the most wins. But what would that mean for you and the team?
Well, we come out here every week to try to win, and it means a lot when I win and stuff, for when the races go my way and stuff.
Talk about the Atlanta Motor Speedway. We have an off week, then we go to Atlanta. Back in these Cup cars, it is going to be an open setup race. What kind of different challenges or advantages does that present to you? And how are you liking that speedway?
The challenges is me and my team are going to have to try to make a setup for it. And I personally really like Atlanta. I won a B car race earlier in the series there, and I'm just hoping that it can go the same way.
Before we let you go, you're down here in Gatorade Victory Lane. Who makes this happen for the team and you, as well as that 68 car? Sponsors and shout-outs and all those good people.
Well, I would like to thank everybody, like you guys for commentating this, everybody that puts CORA on. George Bark, Dustin Lee, Dan Bailey, Nicholas Doucette, and all those guys that help me out every week and stuff.
Thanks for talking with us, Damon. Congratulations on your 3rd checkered flag. We'll be looking for you to make it number 4 at Atlanta, but most importantly, we'll have our eyes locked on that 68 car when it comes time for that championship hunt. Good luck rolling forward in the rest of this season.
Thank you.
That is your winner tonight, and he does a little bit of more burnouts just for extra measure. Damon Gilbert comes home, and I'm going to say he steals this win, because it was the Storm cars that dominated this event, Carl. And the 68, he said he worked on it. He put himself in a position, made a spectacular move on the second to last restart there. Got a caution when he got to the top spot. Was able to hold off a valiant charge. So much of a charge that it ended up putting Sidlack in the fence how hard he tried to get up to the 68 car. And 3 wins is no fluke in this Sunday Money Series.
Absolutely not. These guys are a bunch of great drivers out here. And Damon Gilbert, don't take anything away from him. Good driver. 3 wins on the season. And he did an absolutely great job. Did exactly what he had to do to win this race today. It was Sedlak's race to lose, and that's exactly what he did. He just pushed it too hard, got to the outside wall there, and it was on from there. That was the end of that race for him. But looking forward here now, going into Atlanta, the points chase is really, really getting close here now with James Brown. He has finished in front now of Brandon Cruz Monsiváis. He did exactly what he had to do to try to get himself up into this top 12. But right now, as we stand, it looks like Brandon Cruz Monsiváis is going to be able to have one more race sitting in the top 12, and sitting on that bubble, not losing any positions. Dylan Earhart finished behind him by 2 positions, so he lost some traction there. He's actually fallen back in that points chase. So it's going to be an interesting race going in 2 weeks here at Atlanta.
You've been taking a look at the full finishing results as they've gone across the screen. We've talked to 1st and then 3rd. Couldn't get an interview with the Udi with Colton Berkey, but was nice to talk with the Storm Motorsports entry Nathan Sidlack to get his comments on that incident there. That really was probably one of the wildest finishes we have seen so far. And we bid you farewell for the Michigan International Speedway. Again, we are not here in 1 week's time. For updates on whenever we're on air, check us out on our website at livesimracing.com or Facebook. Just search Live Sim Racing TV as well. But on behalf of the broadcast crew tonight, myself, Evan Pasoko, Carl Jones, and Laura Lawson, congratulations to Damon Gilbert, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time from Hotlanta. Good night.